What a puppy. Hey everyone, my name is Chris Anderson, and today we have a very special episode for you. Some former teachers of mine, Dr. Hayes Cummins and Dr. Donna McCullum of Miami University, have been restoring dozens of acres of farmland to its natural habitat. It's called the Edge of the Farm Conservation Area, and I can't wait to see how Hayes and Donna have been restoring this land. Hey Hayes, hey Donna, how are you guys?
All right, we're doing great.
Man,
good to see you.
It's good to see you guys. This place is amazing that you guys got forests, you got prairies, you got wetlands, you got puppies. So what did this place look like before you guys started converting it back into its natural habitat?
This area here was all soybeans and corn.
Wow.
And that's where we developed these partnerships with Fish and Wildlife, Three Valley Conservation Trust.
So you worked with those groups to help you restore the habitat.
And we also we put the land in a conservation easement with Three Valley Conservation Trust so that the land will be forever protected.
So what inspired you guys to restore this land to its former ecological glory?
One of the most endangered ecosystems in the U.S. is prairie, because we've used it all up for farm fields. And so when it came to providing habitat for a variety of creatures and plants, it seemed like having prairie helped to provide space for some of these things that didn't have space. And the other most endangered ecosystem is wetlands. We've lost upwards of 95% of the prairie in Ohio, because they was all in prairie patches, and we've lost somewhere between 90 and 95% of the wetlands.
So you guys are really creating a space for biodiversity here on your land.
Yes,
right.
Yes. Well, you build it and they will come.
Okay.
With these wetlands were just bowls of water at first, and all of a sudden turtles started showing up. And then when we planted natives, we took native species plugs and planted them strategically in each wetland. As soon as we do that, then the birds start showing up, the insects start showing up. It's been fantastic.
Can you guys show me around a little bit?
Yeah, why don't we take a walk to one of our wetlands?
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, so we're here at one of the wetlands you guys have.
We have 5 wetlands.
5 wetlands.
And this is pickerelweed pond. As I was speaking earlier, we planted plugs of different species of native plants. And the one that seemed to take over was the pickerelweeds,
okay,
which are right here.
That guy right there?
Yeah, and we have these new blooms, and there'll be hundreds of flowers on each one of these spikes here. And if you look around the pond, you can see there are several different colonies of pickerelweeds. So we named this pickerelweed pond.
Okay.
The pollinators in July, if you were to come out in July, there'll be hundreds of these flowers, and the pollinators, there's so many pollinators, you could record the humming of the insects.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Right here, off to my left, is buttonbush.
Okay.
And they're just starting to flower. These little buttons here, these little buds, they'll get about the size of a bowlie. If you play marbles, you know the bowlies. And the flowers last a long time, and the pollinators go crazy. Butterflies particularly love it. Button bushes, and they're native to this region. We have at least 2 of them here in this wetland. And then Donna's going to tell you a little bit about the black willows.
Oh, black willows, one of my favorites is black willows.
Those trees there?
The trees.
Okay.
Yep. We didn't plant these. They're around in the environment, but as the water comes in, their seeds come in with them.
Cool.
And so, but the coolest thing about willows is that they're so important for restoration. There are around 500 insects that use the willows at some point in their life cycle.
Either for food or for habitat or...
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so, you know, by planting one tree, you have the possibility of attracting 500 different species of insects, which is just phenomenal.
That's a huge amount of biodiversity.
That's huge biodiversity. So they're a really important plant. They like to be just like they are, right at the edge of the wetland.
Okay.
So they can't handle being totally saturated for months on end, but they can handle, you know, being dry for a long time, just as long as they have ability to get to that water. So it's just a great plant. The birds love them. As
birds love
we've
them.
been sitting here talking, I've been watching tree swallows and, oh, there goes one right now. A phoebe, actually that might be a phoebe, that are going down from the boughs of the low limbs of those willows down to the water to catch insects.
That's cool.
So they're great for birds, they're great for insects, they're just a fantastic plant.
So in thinking about like all these different plants they're bringing in, you have one plant that's, will bring in 500 different species of insects alone, and plus all the other plants here, you gotta then probably see birds and mammals, and what other kind of species do you guys get in the wetlands?
Mink and raccoons and possums, and of course deer and coyotes.
Okay.
They're all coming to
Like
the
turtles and
turtles. We have
Turtles.
common snapping turtles, painted turtles.
Northern banded water snakes, garter snakes, black snakes.
Other than providing space for potentially thousands of different species, what other things do wetlands do for local ecosystems?
From all the agricultural land and the runoff that we get from them, this holds it back, it releases it a little bit at a time to the streams instead of getting big flushes of nutrients, particularly in the spring.
And it probably does a little bit of filtering as well.
Absolutely.
With all
Sure.
the plants as acting as sponges almost, right?
Absolutely.
Well, can we go take a look at some of the prairie land?
Yeah,
you guys got?
let's do that.
All right, let's do it.
If you look out over this section, you can kind of see the rolling architecture of the prairie at this season. And most of what you're seeing is those hillocks are Maximilian sunflowers. These are fantastic native sunflowers. They get about 8 to 11 feet tall. They may have multiple stems, and each stem will have 10 to 25 flowers on it.
Wow.
So if you come out here in September, this will be a mass of sunflowers. The other most dominant plant is probably big blue stem, which is the native grass from our tall grass prairies. The reason they can survive here, not the wetlands, is really twofold. One, they can't handle their feet being wet. So saturated roots would kill these plants. And number two, they can handle really extended droughts, longer even than the wetland plants can. They can be dry for really a year, and the next year they're still going to come back.
So what's the future of the Edge of the Farm Conservation Area?
We're working on making it a nonprofit educational organization right now. Over the last 10 years, we've probably had a couple thousand students and other groups out here working. And so I figure the message of having native plants and restoring ecosystems is one that people can, a couple thousand more people now are taking that message out to their own homes.
What are some things that you can do maybe around your own yard to help provide a home for some of these birds and insects and plants and things that you have all here?
Everybody in their home can put part of their yard and part of their garden into native plants, and it'll make a huge difference for our native pollinators.
If everybody had a patch of native species in their backyards, maybe around the edges, and they were all connected, just think of the amount of habitat and the connectivity that would give to animals that need that.
Thank you guys so much for inviting me out here. You guys have just inspired so many students over the years, including myself. And I hope your work here on the farm goes to inspire people at home to make their own native habitats.
Me too.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris Anderson, and today we have a very special episode for you. Some friends of mine and actually former teachers, Dr. Hayes Cummins and Dr. Donna McCullum of Miami University, have been restoring dozens of Sorry.